Welcome to the What Is She Even Reading podcast.
I'm Claire, and I love to read.
I'm Jeremy, and I don't.
Join us each week as we read through some of today's most popular books as Jeremy discovers what is she even reading. Hello, and welcome back to What Is She Even Reading? I'm Claire.
I'm Jeremy.
And today we are back with A Court of Mist and Fury, chapters 16 through 31. Woo!
Yay.
We're getting to the end of what you have read before, which is exciting, so you might be able to predict some things coming up, correct?
Yep.
So, friendly reminder, if you have not read A Court of Thorns and Roses or A Court of Mist and Fury, you should stop, come back, save it for another day, because there will be spoilers. So, I think that's it, right? We say at the beginning. Okay, chapter 15 from our last episode ended with Feyre on the porch of the House of Wind, right?
Yep.
Waiting to go in and meet the rest of
Rhysand's friends.
the inner circle.
The inner circle.
So 16 picks right back up where 15 left off, and she basically she meets Cassian and Azriel, and she talks about how beautiful they are the whole time.
Yes.
Like, my first note was like, if Rhysand's mother had been also Illyrian, then its people were blessed with unnatural good looks.
Yeah.
Which I think is talking about Cassian.
Yeah, and she's talking about one of them. It says, like, he'd been made of wind and earth and flame, and all these civilized trappings were little more than an inconvenience.
I feel like Cassian.
Yeah.
Because then the second male, she said, is more classically beautiful of the two, which is Azriel.
Yeah.
The spy master.
I will say, I had been listening to the audiobook, and she says, Azriel.
Azriel?
And, like, makes it too much L instead of Azriel, which I think just sounded stupid. Azriel. Sounds stupid.
Well, maybe that's how you're... Like Ariel?
No, not saying it like that. Azriel.
Anyway, he's a spy master.
And he's pretty.
Yes. And he has burns all over his hand. Mm-hmm. And she notes it must have been horrific for even their, like, immortal blood to not being able to heal them.
Yeah.
So. And they also have these large stones on them. They have so they say gauntlets. What is that? Is it like a Thor hammer?
Glove type of thing. Something that goes on your...
So they're
wearing... May not be a glove specifically, like goes on your hand / wrists.
Yeah. Okay, so they're wearing these stones all over their body.
Basically, it's like the thing from Avengers. Oh. Just with only one.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Not that I've actually seen that movie, but I just know of it. Is.
So they have all these cobalt stones, and then they have twin red stones, and Cassian's job is to command Rhysand's army. Armies.
He's got multiple, apparently.
And Azriel notes that Cassian also excels at pissing everyone off, especially amongst our friends. And Cassian, basically, they don't waste any time. I feel like they get introduced, and then he's like, how the hell did you make that bone ladder when you look like your own bones could snap at any moment? And, like, doesn't sugarcoat it. Just goes, wow, you look really weak. How could you even do that? And then she is sassy right back, and how the hell did you manage to survive this long without anyone killing you? Which I think they all enjoy her being sassy right back with him. So
yeah. I think, is this more instead? If Cassian's howling, I hope it means Feyre told him to shut his fat mouth.
Yeah.
So it seems like he just gets on everyone's nerves. It's like, shut up, you idiot.
And then she also meets... Amren.
Who's shorter than her, has chin length, black hair, glossy and straight. Pretty, but bordering plain. And then silver eyes. A glimpse into that creature that I knew in my bones wasn't high fae or hadn't been born that way. And here's okay, so you know how there's like, people imagine the Midgard worm as the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob. I don't know why, but I always imagine Amryn as like similar to Edna Mode from Incredibles. I know it's not right, but that's all I could. It's the chin length black hair.
Yeah.
It's not right. I know it's not right because Edna Mode's this tiny little thing that just.
But she's kind of fierce.
Yeah, it's just.
And she takes no shit.
That's just all I can imagine. Maybe a slightly taller version, but that's what I imagine.
I always imagine Amryn. Yeah, never mind.
And I guess without the glasses.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe a little bit taller.
Yeah.
But. So she notes that she knows she's not high fae. What do you think she is?
I haven't the slightest idea.
No prediction.
No, as we discuss Amryn, I will give some more thoughts on her.
Like as you learn more about her?
As we learn more about her in some of these chapters,
okay.
I will discuss a couple of thoughts.
Okay. But right now you're not saying anything. Okay.
No. But Amryn does note that there are two of us now, referring to her and Feyre. They're born something else and found ourselves trapped in new, strange bodies.
Yep.
But there is a third. But no one's heard from Miriam, that's her name, in centuries. And Amryn does say that only once before was a human made, which I guess a note. She writes made with a capital M. Mm-hmm. So is this like being a made man into the mafia, I think? Or, anyway, but a human made into an immortal. But references that it's Miriam that was that. Mm-hmm. And she was gifted a long life, not a new body. Mm-hmm. So what was Amryn before then?
We don't know.
I guess we don't.
But that's what my question is for you. Any guesses?
I will guess once we learn what she eats.
Okay. Well, I mean, they've read this section.
So,
but you can wait if you want. You want to ponder it some more?
Yeah, I'll ponder it a little bit.
Okay. And my next note is she's sniffing her, basically, which I guess is, yes. But she's like, Feyre says, I've never felt so laid bare, but then surprise lit Amryn's eyes. Rhys just nodded, whatever that meant. You think anything means?
She was previously something that smelled things. I don't know.
Okay. I'm just asking.
I don't know. Or she smells something on her. Smells the powers of everyone. I don't know.
Okay. That's just a question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. And then they basically just like go to eat. And they snap a finger. And then all the food just appears. What if cooking was that easy?
It'd be pretty great.
Though, do you think it's like Harry Potter, where, they would snap their fingers, but really, and like the food would appear on the dining tables, but really it was the house elves working? So do you think there's some creature that's been cooking? Because they do have cooks.
Could be. And we know that they can make people invisible.
Yeah, or they're just elsewhere in the house cooking, like a servant's quarter.
Could be.
So,
I don't think it's that important.
Well, that's just a note that I made. If only I could snap my fingers and dinner was ready.
It would be nice. It's called DoorDash. Except you gotta wait an hour.
Yeah.
Pay $50 for one hamburger.
And they're having like normal food. Roast chicken, greens, and bread.
Yeah.
But Amryn...
Well, that's like a theme with the food. Is it's all like, quote, normal food, but it tastes delicious.
Yeah.
But Amryn doesn't eat it.
And I did ask in this notes, like, what do you think Amryn eats? But I forgot that we were going to learn
We'll learn
that.
what she eats later.
Yeah.
Which, is this the one where she, like, just pushes the food around on her plate?
I think so.
Why? Why even give her a plate of food, right? They all know that she doesn't eat it.
Maybe she does eat it every once in a while.
Maybe.
Like, maybe she tastes it and she just doesn't like it. Like, it doesn't say that she... Well, I mean, it does say she does not eat. But, I don't know, maybe she likes to pretend and not just sit there and stare at each other.
I guess so.
Or maybe she tastes it and is like... Yuck.
Well, you know what I think they could give her? Should we just say what she eats?
Yeah.
So she eats blood. It's weird. But they could make her some blood pudding. They could make her some little blood dishes to eat.
Maybe she doesn't like to eat around others, but she drinks the blood later on.
Yes.
So why wouldn't they, as her friends, prepare that for her every meal? Unless she doesn't eat often.
Maybe she only has to eat once a century.
Maybe she just doesn't want to eat in front of them.
True.
Or maybe Cassian says, yuck, that stinks, every time she has it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. She's a weird bird.
Yeah, but why wouldn't they have the food for her? It'd be like if someone showed up at your house and you're like, I know you're lactose intolerant, but I made nachos.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you have made a separate plate for them that's not lactose?
True.
You know? Mm-hmm. Nachos for lactose intolerant. Ice cream. Mac and cheese. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So we learn a little bit more about the little jewels that they have all over them, which are siphons.
Yeah.
And they concentrate and focus their power in battle.
Mm-hmm. We learn that Rhysand is half Illyrian. Mm-hmm. And as good as a bastard where the thoroughbred high fae are concerned. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that a thoroughbred or a purebred high fae doesn't have to be High Lord. Like, he can be High Lord even though he's of mixed blood.
Well, I mean...
Although I suppose it doesn't matter, right? The high fae doesn't necessarily... Do they have to be the High Lords?
I don't know, but maybe... He also lives in a very non-traditional court where he has female as his first and second.
I suppose that's true.
I think those rules don't apply. It might apply in another court where they value that thing more, right?
True.
But I don't know how he became, like, if he basically just said, I don't care, I'm going to be High Lord even though I am half Illyrian, or because we learned that his father, his mate was the Illyrian. So did the people just accept it because, I mean, obviously, that's what, like...
True.
Whatever their god, the cauldron, I guess, destined for.
I guess so.
I don't know. But then Illyrians are also not high fae.
Yeah.
So, they're generally just considered expendable aerial cavalry for the Night Court. So, basically they're just soldiers. Mm-hmm. And then,
we learn that Azrael is the, I got myself saying it, is the shadow singer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's walking around and he's got, like, I'm imagining Pigpen from Snoopy.
Oh, with, like, the flies around him?
Oh, he has, like, the dirt coming off him in the cartoon, so that's what I'm imagining he looks like, walking around with,
the shadows.
With shadows instead of dirt. That's what I'm imagining. I can't... I mean, that's obviously not what he looks like, but...
It's funny. But we learned that shadow singers are rare. And they're coveted by courts for their stealth and predisposition to hear and feel things others can't. So he's a spy, hence his role as the spy master.
Yes, because his, like, shadows... I don't know if we know this yet, so I won't say it.
Okay.
And we learn about the Illyrians... Because Azrael is not only just an Illyrian, he's a shadow singer, right? Mm-hmm. So he's both. But Illyrians cripple their females so that they can't fly, so they can keep them for breeding more flawless warriors. So they're a much more brutal group of people.
Yeah.
So, which is, we learned this when about his dad was traveling to their camps or whatever. Mm-hmm. And his mom had, like, tried to hold off her, essentially her period from starting, and they were about to clip her wings, and he, like, the connected eyes and the mating bond snapped into place or whatever. So So she was saved so she could fly. But most
Yeah.
other females aren't as lucky. They don't get to fly after they
Yeah.
are of breeding age. And, I mean, this whole chapter is very much like an info dump on these new people and this new group of people that you haven't really obviously met.
Yeah.
So you learn about them and the Illyrians, but then I think they're talking about how they knew each other.
Yeah, because Reese's dad took him to the Illyrian war camp or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, or maybe
his mom did.
His mom took him there to get him trained up as an Illyrian boy.
Mm-hmm.
And his father only came back 20 years later.
Yeah.
When the war came.
Because that's how they met. I don't know if they get into it in this chapter specifically, but in this section they talk about it.
Yeah.
I think, or the last section.
Somewhere in here of how they knew each other. And
like Cassian was basically fighting his way to the top, but he was an orphan.
Yeah.
And he was sleeping like in a tent, and so like Reese basically adopted him and brought him into his mom was mad, but then took care of him basically. So
but they didn't get along at first. Yeah.
I think it's later in this, I don't know, but
anyway.
But yeah, Reese talks about his dad, about like the three of them kind of had like grouped together and they were like stronger than him, so they separated them for several years to fight alone basically. Yeah, so Reese commanded a legion of Illyrians who hated him for being a half-breed. Cassian was in a different legion to be a common foot soldier. And then Azrael, he kept as his personal shadow singer, mostly for spying and dirty work.
Yep.
So they basically only saw each other, it says, like on battlefields for 7 years while the war went on. And then, you know, blah, blah, blah. They were like, look for each other's names. And then it said, but then Reese was captured and it stops. So, like, was that when he was captured with Amarantha, or was it a different time?
I assume this is a
different time.
This is a different time during the war.
Because I was like,
seems.
Wait, how long has Reese been High Lord?
No, it seems like this was during the war.
I guess that was 500 years ago.
Yeah, it was 500 years ago.
And then he was captured for something else.
Ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I remember that was 50.
So that's pretty much it. We just learned their backstory on their little friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Reese took over, and we're not going to get into all the details, but basically all the people who used to support his father and didn't like him, he gave them the Court of Nightmares.
Yeah.
And they can just stay down there, and then he took the rest of them to the Court of Dreams,
yep.
which is basically where they are now. So.
Mm-hmm.
And Feyre's like, they wanted her to learn how to fight.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't think it sends a bad message? And they all just stared at her like she was stupid. And she even realizes it.
Yeah.
And
Tamlin was just making excuses.
Yeah. So
I
think she's like, oh, I realize. Which she did say that's a stupid reason when she was with him. But I guess now she realizes a little bit more how controlling and stupid it sounds for her to say, like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So.
She talks about how she's never had a female friend before. Mm-hmm. Because Ianthe was not one.
No, I don't think so. I think she was Tamlin's friend, really.
Yes.
And she accepts Rhysand's offer to work with them. So, and help with the Highburn situation.
Mm-hmm. And then they tell her to go to the prison and talk to the bone carver.
Well, yeah, because they think they're going to resurrect
Jurian.
Yeah. So, which is back to the first book. So, but yeah, she's going to the bone carver. And she's like, how bad could it be? And they all were kind of like, yeah. But that's the end of that chapter. It was a very long info dump of a chapter.
Yes.
You learn a lot. You learn a lot about these new characters that you've just met, and kind of get back to kind of where the next little bit of the book is going, which is her working with them.
Yeah.
So 17, they are flying back to the townhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess she asked about what the bond is, and right?
I think so, yeah.
And he basically just says it's like an open channel between us, shaped by my powers, by what you needed when we made the bargain. So,
yeah.
And basically she's like, you made everyone think that you are the person that lives in the Court of Nightmares, when basically you aren't. So.
Yeah, because he wanted to keep his friends and his family safe, basically.
Yeah, this is when he gets into, like, I got captured, or she tricked me out of my powers, and he used the rest of them to, like, basically hide Valaris and hide his friends, so, like, they had to stay there so that, to save Valaris so they wouldn't come after him, but that's pretty much what he did that whole 50 years, is just try to protect his people.
Yeah, and he says, basically to keep Amarantha from asking questions, he cozied up to her and was her whore.
Yeah.
Just somewhat. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it for that conversation. She ends up having a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And she wakes up and Rhysand is hovering above her.
Yeah.
Telling her it's a dream. And then he pulls back her hair when she's vomiting. And I'm like, this is what Tamlin should have been doing this whole time. They're not even, like, in love. They're just friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, barely even friends. Acquaintances.
Yeah.
And he's more supportive than Tamlin ever was.
Yeah.
So, but she's like ripped the sheets in her sleep.
Yeah, and she's got an ashy, smoky taste coating her mouth. Mm-hmm. Claws of flame had sliced through the bed linens, and then the flames apparently come from the autumn court. Mm-hmm. And then that's about it.
Yeah.
And then they go to the prison, but it's just a rock. Mm-hmm. She's like, "Where's the prison?" Because it's just a big rock mountain thing. Mm-hmm. And he says, inside it, or the rock is the prison, and inside it are the foulest, most dangerous creatures and criminals you can imagine. So I was like, is this like Azkaban from Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Feyre and the Prisoner of Azkaban. But we learned that Amren will not go in there because she was once a prisoner, but not in that body, which is, again, interesting. But then she just kind of freaks out. It's like, I can't go in.
Because she can't do the, like, claustrophobia thing.
Because, again, it's basically another mountain to go in. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't want to do this. She freaks out, and Rhysand says, okay, and they go home, and she goes to sleep. And that's the end of that chapter.
Which I think he didn't push her.
He did not.
He just was patient and was like, okay, let's go. Yeah. Even though I'm sure he's going, ugh.
But it does say Rhysand, as promised, didn't ask any questions.
Yeah.
So.
Chapter 18 opens with Amren giving Feyre an amulet to wear that she says got me out of the prison, wear it in and they can never keep you. And so off they go to the prison again. And Rhys just keeps frowning at it and looking at it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we learn later why, but I just think it's funny. It's a very clever like safety blanket, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Man.
We learn about Azrael now.
Yeah.
And how.
Because they have to, like, hike up the mountain.
Yeah.
Just
and you can't winnow in or fly in or something. So they talk about Azrael, which he tells them, like, her, like, that the trees have ears, basically, like they're gonna hear everything. And then she starts talking about Azrael's past. I'm like, don't you think that's private?
Yeah.
But basically, his father kept him in a cell with no window and light for years.
Yeah.
And
When he was 8, his brothers decided it'd be fun to see what happened when you mixed his quick healing gifts with oil and fire. So basically, his brothers lit him on fire.
which is just
Horrible.
Yeah.
And so that's why his hands are all burned, because they were the last thing that got put out, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, they continue talking about other things. More is who he calls in when the armies fail, and Cassian and Azrael are both dead.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also his third.
Yeah.
And
Court overseer.
yes, she looks after the dynamics between the Court of Nightmares and the Court of Dreams. So, which they call, I guess there's different cities in the Court of Nightmare, but it's like Valaris in the Court of Dreams, and then Hewn City in the Court of Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And though he says, I suppose in the mortal realm she might be considered a queen, basically.
Yeah.
And then Amren, as his second, makes her his political advisor, walking library, and doer of his dirty work, basically. So. And
then they talk about Amren. Mm-hmm. And apparently there's a spell on her. Mm-hmm. And that could unleash her. And so Feyre's asking, what is she? He's saying something else, something worse than us. And if she ever finds a way to shed her prison of flesh and bone, cauldron, save us all. What is she?
I don't know. That's the question for you.
I don't know, though.
You said you had a prediction.
Well, I don't really have a good one.
You're just you're collecting the facts.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what she could be.
And then they get up to the prison, basically. It's a gate of bones.
Of course.
And the prison is law unto itself. The island may even be an eighth court, but it falls under his jurisdiction. And his blood is key to the gates. So.
Conveniently. Be a bit less convenient if the prison was in the spring court.
Yeah. And
again, they're talking more about Amren, about how there's vague mention somewhere that she had gone into the prison before Prithian was split into the courts and emerged once they had been established, which and guesses that she had been in there for a few millennia. Mm-hmm. Like, how old is Amren? Is she older than time?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it implies. That she's older than him, at least.
Yeah.
Which is pretty old.
Yeah. And then they go down to the bone carver.
Uh-huh.
And because he's beneath the roots of the mountain.
Yes.
And they're talking, and she asks if he's a shapeshifter. But Rhysand says the bone carver will appear to you as one thing, and I might be standing right beside you and see another.
Yeah.
Which seems weird. So they go in, and she sees a little boy, a dark-haired boy sitting against a far wall, eyes of crushing blue. Mm-hmm. And I think she made something like, can't be more than 8 years old or something, which is just weird. They have the calf bone that she used to kill the worm for him.
Yeah, how did
it's like a gift.
Because Rhysand had it. So, like, did he just, like, go down in the pit and grab it when no one was looking?
Probably.
I guess he was thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Forward thinking. And basically, they're asking him questions, but he wants to know where she went when she died.
Yeah, so they like trade questions.
Yeah. So. And Feyre notes that there was a thread, a tether, and she yanked on it, and suddenly she could see, not through her own eyes, but through Rhysand's eyes. And she knew she was dead, but this tiny scrap of spirit was all that was left of me, clinging to the thread of our bargain. So. And then they ask, like, if there's no body but a little bone, could you resurrect a person to grow them a new body and put their soul into it, basically?
And so then he talks about the cauldron. Long ago, before the High Fae, before man, there was a cauldron. All the magic was contained inside it. Fell into the wrong hands. Great and horrible things were done with it. Things were forged with it. It was eventually stolen back. Could not be destroyed, for it had made all things. So it was hidden and forgotten. Seems like something like, why would you forget that where that is?
Well, they wanted to forget, but like, was it forgotten though? Because they say cauldron boil me.
I think forgotten where it is, not it itself, but where it is. Like, I know I put that damn cauldron somewhere.
Yeah.
But, and then it says, like, the feet of it were taken off and hidden in 3 different places.
Yeah, to, like, keep it safe, basically.
Yeah, to weaken it.
But, like, to resurrect someone who's dead, you would need the cauldron.
You would need the cauldron, and then the book. And they tell you how to use the cauldron's power, which was also split into. One half went to the Fae, and went to the 6 human queens.
Yes.
And then, conveniently, only that which was made, capital M, can speak those spells and summon its power. How convenient for little old Feyre.
Yeah.
She was made.
Well, and this explains why the temples were getting...
Yes.
Because the feet were hidden at 3 different temples, which are the ones that have been getting attacked.
Yes, that is correct. I did skip over that.
I mean, it's just kind of like, it's connecting the dots.
That's why they're going after them.
So, my favorite part was, I think he told him to tell him a secret or something, and Rhysand's like, my right knee gets a twinge of pain when it rains. And it's never been the same since the war. Yeah. I thought that was clever.
Yeah.
But, she has to tell him something else, right? There's a lot of exchanging of information.
Yeah. And it does a little bit seem like she gives him more than he gives her.
Yeah, maybe she feels comfortable down there. Because she says, when Amarantha made me kill those 2 fairies, if the third hadn't been Tamlin, I would have put the dagger in my own heart at the end. And she does note that Rhysand looks kind of devastated a little bit about it. So
he's sad about it.
Why?
Because he loves her.
Do you think so?
Well, duh. I don't know. I mean, it seems that way. He at least lusts after her.
And yeah, the book of breathings, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So
they leave.
But it is noted that you can't steal the book from the from the queens.
It must be freely given. No magic, no trickery, no magic. So.
And when they're leaving, they're like exchanging information. Who did you see? And Feyre's like, a boy around 8, blah, blah, blah. And Rhysand says that he saw Jurian exactly as he looked the last time I saw him. So.
Bum, bum, bum.
Creepy. So, chapter 19, they're back at the townhouse to regroup after their meeting with the bone carver. And I like this description. The bone carver is a busybody gossip who likes to pry into other people's business far too much. Which seems kind of true. He must be bored down there.
Yeah. I'm sure he's been down there a long time.
Yeah.
So. Rhysand again picks a invisible piece of dirt off of his clothes. And then think he's talking about the king. Has no interest in wooing him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they might have been talking about the temples or whatever that were getting attacked for the cauldron's feet.
But basically, it's going to take some planning, but they're going to have to go to Hybern to get the cauldron. To either take it or use the book to nullify it.
Yeah.
So, and then they have to retrieve the book, and the objects are spelled to the individual High Lords that can only be found through their power, which I think, so basically Feyre is going to have to go and find the book.
Yeah.
So, convenient, right?
Of course.
Well, which is why he wanted her from the first part to work with him.
True.
But, so with her abilities, she might be able to find the other half of the book at the summer court and break the wards around it. Yep. So, but they're gonna
go on another little trip first
to test it out.
Yes.
So
don't want to just go straight to the summer court and say, find that book.
No. To see if she can find a valuable object of his that has been missing for a considerably long time at the Weavers.
Yes.
So,
which I think Feyre has a comment about the bone carver, the weaver. Can't you just call everyone by a given name? Like, that's at John's house. Or
well, that is their name, right?
Thomas, I guess.
Like, what would you call the bone carver? What do you think his real name is?
I don't know. Gregory? I don't know.
My go-to man name for some reason is always Bob.
I mean, it could be Bob.
But the bone carver sounds more ominous,
Bob
right?
the bone carver. Like, how did he get that name, you know?
Because he carves with bones.
Okay, but what name did his mama give him?
I don't know. You think he has a mama?
I would assume.
He's kind of a scary little thing.
Where did he come from, though?
I don't know.
Where did he go? Where did you come from, bone carver?
Okay. And Feyre's going to be the emissary to the Night Court for the human realm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're like, okay, well, once Feyre Darling returns from the Weaver, we'll bring Hybern to its knees.
Easy peasy.
And she's like, this is why you insisted I take lessons on reading and, like, power training, blah, blah, blah. So, like, I could actually read it or any translation of what's inside. And he's like, yes, but also, like, it helped you, too.
Yeah.
So.
And then
they head off to the Weaver, or they're about to leave for the...
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, it talks about the Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
And how he put some preserving spell on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Weaver will not notice your presence as long as you don't touch anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And like she can go in because the Weaver doesn't know her or something.
Yeah, like the High Lords can't interfere with
It's
them.
just some weird nonsense, honestly.
I mean, it could be made up.
That's true.
Just to test her.
That is also true.
But...
he says, you are my salvation, Feyre.
Yeah, because she asks, so I'm your huntress and thief, and that's when he's like, no, you're my salvation. That's kind of cute.
Mm-hmm.
Are you shipping them? Or are you shipping Feyre and Tamlin?
Am I what?
Like, in a relationship.
Oh, I didn't know what you meant by shipping. Like where am I shipping them to?
No, like, you're shipping their relationship.
Oh.
You've never heard that before?
No, I have not. Anyway, chapter 20.
But who are you? Are you still wishing Tamlin will get off his butt?
No. Tamlin's a bum.
Are you shipping them?
Right now, yes.
Or are you shipping her and Cassian?
No.
Azrael?
No.
Why not?
Because I have other thoughts on Cassian later.
Okay. So chapter 20, they're heading to the Weaver. And there's, in the heart of Prithian, did I say it correctly? There's
Yes.
a large empty territory that divides the north and the south, and it's at the center is our sacred mountain. And then the forest is like neutral territory, so there's no high lord. So it's just like creatures, basically.
Yeah.
And the weaver of the wood is at the top of their food chain, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So. But I think he says, like, he tried to get Amarantha to get involved here because he wanted her to be taken down by these people, basically, but she wouldn't even touch it. So.
Yeah.
Do you want to describe what happens in the Weaver?
So she goes in there. She's sneaking around. The Weaver's spinning into thread. Something, right?
Yeah, she's just, like, spinning wool into thread. Well, what she thinks is wool.
Yeah.
And she looks young. She's got, like, long, I think, blondish hair.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
She feels a tap on her shoulder. Mm-hmm. And it's the book thing, or it's the thing she's looking for.
Yeah.
And she goes in to the exact shelf and finds an old ring. That's what he wanted her to find, was a ring. Gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
Flecked with pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Set with a stone of deepest solid blue. Sapphire, but different. So yeah. And then, like, the Weaver was singing a song this whole time.
Mm-hmm. And it was a disturbing song, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the words, but it wasn't a happy song. And then, as soon as she goes to put it, or as she pulls the ring from the shelf, the Weaver stops singing it. And she's like, "Oh crap, she's caught me."
Yeah, she basically touched it, and she stopped singing.
Yeah,
and that sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the chapter.
Chapter 21, she's trying to escape, basically. I don't know if you want to go through all the details, but...
Well, the way... So, like, she's trying to run for it, basically, quietly. And the door shuts, and there's no handle on the inside.
Yeah.
So she can't get out. But the
window won't open either.
Yeah, like, everything's shut. She's kind of stuck. The Weaver's described as... She has a young, supple body beneath... I guess has black hair. Black, beautiful hair. Her skin was gray, wrinkled, and sagging and dry. Where eyes should have gleamed, instead lay rotting black pits.
Gross.
Her lips had withered to nothing but deep, dark lines around a hole full of jagged stumps of teeth like she had gnawed on too many bones.
I'd like to see a fan art of that at some point.
I'll pull it up for you.
Okay.
But, she basically, we won't get into all of it, but she escapes by going up the fireplace.
She goes up the chimney.
Yeah, and she gets stuck in there.
Yes.
And it's slicked with fat from the humans and creatures she had
been cooking up.
She's stuck. She starts basically talking herself up. And you have something
She
here.
says, I was a survivor. Which obviously reminded me of the theme song
Reba.
/ show from the hit TV show Reba, starring Reba McEntire.
Starring Thera Archer.
Well, we don't know her last name yet.
I think we do.
We learn it later once she's talking to her sisters.
Okay, so I looked it up. This is a side note on that, but I think we learned it in the first book.
Did we?
I think.
I don't remember it in the first book. Anyway.
Okay, well.
So then the Weaver is coming after her because she's up in the chimney. At some point, doesn't she get covered in hair? Because that's what the Weaver was weaving.
Well, yeah, there's like black... First off, she throws a brick down at her face.
She starts pounding the bricks out of the chimney.
She has black blood.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Basically, the Weaver sounds like a gross person.
And the roof is thatched with hay. It's thatched with
That's right, the roof is hair.
Which is just like, it's like Hansel and Gretel to the, like, scariest degree. It's covered in body parts, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's why she's covered because she's covered in fat from the fireplace.
Yeah.
Possibly some black blood that spewed out of the Weaver's face.
Yeah.
And then she's rolled around on the roof covered in hair. So the hair is stuck to her in clumps, strands, and tufts. She's trying not to throw up.
Yeah.
But she's running away. I think in the trees.
Yeah, she's like jumping from tree to tree because then she just finds Rhysand up in a tree somewhere.
Yeah, like lounging.
Hanging out.
And then he goes, "What the hell did you do?" Because he can hear the Weaver screeching. But then they just like boop, boop,
on back home.
Go home. And Amren says, "You smell like barbecue."
Yes, which answers the question. They have barbecue in this world.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. They do. But then she just throws up on the floor, basically.
She had the grease and hair of people all over her.
And Amren just, like, waves a hand, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So, but this is what kind of spurs her to say to Cassian, like, I want you to teach me how to fight and get stronger, because she basically, it was like I couldn't have even fought my way out of there. Like, I kind of got out by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
Literally. So... And then she asks, like, so what's up with the ring? And he's like, oh, it was my mom's ring. And we learn his mom gave it to him as a keepsake and then took it back when he reached maturity and then gave it to the Weaver for safekeeping so he wouldn't waste it. Yeah. So, any thoughts on that?
No, honestly, I didn't remember that part.
Oh, so. Yeah. So the mom gave it to the Weaver.
So perhaps it's some sort of powerful ring.
Yeah, maybe.
It can do something.
And then they're just kind of talking. We learn a lot about Ianthe, which...
Yes.
I don't know. Did you like Ianthe in the beginning of this book? Or were you
seemed a little
cautiously suspicious?
She seemed suspicious. She had previously tried to seduce Rhysand. Mm-hmm. Because we go into Rhysand's mind and see a memory. Which
makes me think of the Harry Potter where they like...
Oh, put their face in the... I don't remember what it's called, but in the bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's watching a memory.
Yes.
Of Ianthe trying to seduce...
Yes.
Her. Him. Not her.
Yes.
And...
Because Ianthe's just like laid out on Rhysand's bed.
Yeah.
Butt naked. Seducing him. But he kicks her out and says, get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't want you.
And that's pretty much the end of the chapter.
She's now a certified book tracker.
But she's like, I guess I passed the test because she knew.
She found it.
She noted that the ring earlier, she said it smelled like citrus and salt, which smells like Rhysand, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. So. Okay, chapter 22.
They're getting ready to go to the human lands.
Yes. Because I think Moore is getting dressed. Or maybe she's just there with her getting dressed.
Yeah.
Because Moore doesn't end up going.
No.
But she asks, like, what are you supposed to wear to the human lands? And Feyre's like, you need layers. Like, cover up everything, basically. Yeah, it gets hidden beneath skirts, petticoats, and nonsense. But Moore says, like, sounds like the women are used to not having to run or fight. I don't remember it being that way 500 years ago. So maybe they've just been lulled into not having to... They're not scared of the fairies anymore.
Yeah. Talks about in the Court of Nightmares that females are prized. Mm-hmm. And they're sold off to the highest bidder. Mm-hmm. Whichever male will have the most advantage to our families.
Yes.
And apparently you can smell a High Lord's air before he comes to power. It's just strange.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what Amren was smelling on Feyre, that she's going to be the highest of High Lords or something. So? Perhaps.
You think she's going to take over?
She was sniffing. She's going to take over something, obviously. Her hair has been arranged.
Yeah.
And flecked with lapis lazuli. I highlighted this because the only reason I know it's a blue thing is from Minecraft.
I didn't even know. I didn't even think to look it up.
That. I didn't care about her hair.
Well, I highlighted it because I was like, why is she wearing a crown? A diadem.
I don't know.
But, like, why would she wear that to go meet her sisters?
I don't know.
Like, why not just wear your hair like normal? A crown seems a bit pretentious.
Yeah.
When she's not.
Particularly because at Tamlin's house, she did not want a crown.
No.
She was adamantly opposed to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the crown is weird.
Yes.
But, and this is where, I guess her and Rhysand talking. They're about to go. But this is a very famous quote from this whole series, which is, there are good days and hard days for me even now. Don't let the hard days win. So, but then she's basically like, I'll fly with Azrael.
Yeah. I'm going to go with him.
And
Then they fly.
Yep.
And because apparently there's over the ocean, over the water, there's a break in the wall or something.
Yeah, but she feels it. She feels the wall, right?
Yes.
So.
But she notes that she doesn't know how he knew where the break in the wall was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because he's a spy.
I guess that's true.
That's what I would say. He's a trained spy master.
That's true. Anyway, then they land in the human realm.
Yes. And chapter 23, she's at her home.
Yes.
Or their new home.
Yes.
So not even really her home. But she has a hood on.
Yeah.
With her. She's like, my ears and crown were hidden. Again, why are you wearing a crown?
Because she's stupid. But we do learn that it has been 1 year since the beginning of the first book. Since she killed whatever his name, Andras.
So a lot has happened.
It's been an action-packed year. It's been a busy year for Feyre.
Yeah. She was going to get married. She
was captured and then was going to marry this guy, and got sent home, and then went back, went under the mountain for 3 months, and then did all that, and then spent a few more months with Tamlin, and then escaped him.
Yeah, it really hasn't been that long.
No.
But, basically, she's knocking on the door, and she doesn't feel the same. Basically, the housekeeper doesn't want to let her in, but she feels like the wolf, so it's kind of reversed. Now she feels like they let her in, but and basically, I don't know if, I guess they hadn't sent, but she wants to talk to her sisters, and the housekeeper's like, no, but eventually her sisters are like, let her in, we'll talk to her. The boys are hidden, so they can't see, but we learned that Elaine is engaged and is getting married to a lord's son whose father has devoted his life to hunting down your kind when they cross the wall. So
yeah, convenient.
That's not good. And she's basically begging them for their help to contact the human queens.
Yeah.
Which I don't see why they need her sisters other than just a meeting place. Is that what they need?
I think so, yeah.
But, like, why not meet in her old home in the middle of the woods that no one is around? Like, why do they have to meet at an actual...
Because the human queens aren't going to a hovel, a little shack, with her crappy paintings all over the walls.
True. But Nesta's like, no Fae in this house. And she's like, do you include me? But then Elaine is the one who kind of talks sense into her. If, like, we don't help Feyre, there's not going to be a wedding for me.
Yeah.
So, but Nesta and Feyre both agree, kind of, that they don't like the guy that she's marrying.
Yeah.
Feyre doesn't even know him, I don't think, but Nesta says his father has built a wall of stone around their estate so high even the trees can't reach over it. I think it looks like a prison, which I agree. And so Nesta's like, I thought you went through all this for your High Lord, and
But it still didn't end well.
Yeah. And she's like, the Lord built a wall to keep the Fae out. My High Lord wanted to keep me caged in. So, and that's pretty much it. She's basically like, please help me to save the world, essentially. And it ends on, would you like to meet my new court?
Yeah. I'd like to meet them. They're here. They're just outside, standing behind that bush.
Yeah. So chapter 24, I think they're ushering the servants out.
Yeah.
I think Feyre makes a note like Elaine never met anyone she couldn't charm or something, but they also gave him money to leave and to not say anything, like the housekeeper they bribed, basically. But and like I guess they found the boys show up, and Rhys is like, you'd think they'd been told the plague had befallen the house because they rushed away so quickly. Yeah. So, and like you kind of forget because Cassian's like, wow, your father must be a fine merchant. I've seen castles with less wealth. And then you're like, oh yeah, Tamlin paid for all of this. Yeah. I don't know why he, as a vindictive person he seems to be, why hasn't taken it back to try to bring her back?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, why hasn't he threatened her family? Why hasn't she considered that he might?
Yeah.
She didn't even think that he might not keep up with her family. True. I guess they don't need any more help, but...
No.
And then she starts thinking about her... Basically, like, she'll stay young forever, and her sisters are going to age and be old someday, and how weird that will be. And I think this is a weird time for her to, like, be considering that, but whatever. But Azriel and Cassian come in, I guess with Rhys too, and then the sisters stiffen at basically their devastatingly beautiful faces. I don't know why that's funny to me, but it is.
I had a question on this because it talks about Cassie and Azriel, those mighty wings tucked in tight to their powerful bodies. So maybe I missed it, but why can Rhys hide his wings? Is it because and they can't? Is it because he's a half breed? He's got some shape shifting abilities from the High Lord side of him.
Maybe?
Or because he's the High Lord?
I don't know if you know yet, and I don't know if it's really ever
explained.
Yeah, I don't want to say something that might give something away.
All right now I'll chalk it up to Rhys being the High Lord and them not being the High Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, I mean, you've learned that he's only half Illyrian.
Yeah, we've learned that.
So, I think there's something, because when I saw this note, and I had to look it up because I don't know 100%, and there was kind of like discussions on it, but I don't want to share right now because I think it could spoil something. So
okay.
But yeah, I guess they did say that all High Lords have small shape-shifting abilities, right?
Yeah. Which
again, poor Tamlin, that's all he got.
Yeah.
So
and like strength or whatever, but
yeah,
that's lame.
Yeah. And she introduces them, Nesta and Elaine Archeron, which, okay, so I noted, is this the first time we know her last name? Because she's like, I had not thought of my family name, I had not used it for years and years, blah, blah, blah. So I also Googled this, and they said that we know it in the first book. But do we? I'll have to go back and read it.
Like, they should be able to Google what page it's on, or at least what chapter it's in. Surely someone would have written that down. Like, hey, it's on chapter 10.
Okay, so we went to the first book, and you do not learn her last name in that book.
Yeah.
So this is the first time.
Yes.
I think you know of her last name. So
yes.
Glad I didn't know it was such a secret, but yeah. So Archeron.
Maybe that's why she's a good archer.
Yeah. She does note, or one of the things I highlighted was the tang of their terror coated my tongue. So, does she just know they're terrified, or can she actually taste it?
Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me. She's got all sorts of weird powers.
So they go and sit at the dinner table, basically. Azriel's grinning. slightly because Elaine is like holding on to her fork instead of looking. I think he's sitting next to her, and then like Cassian is trying to adjust his wings around a human chair. Which, okay, I get it, but also could they not just
get a stool?
Well, also just sit up, don't lean back. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, unless it has arms.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends. Like, it could be a really high-backed chair. We don't know how...
But you just sit a little further.
I guess so. It might have arms on it, like you're saying. We don't know how far out their wings go.
Sure, but they're tucked in.
I guess so.
I don't know. Anyways, I think it's... Like, I can...
But we don't know how far down... they go. Like, if he's in a sitting position, they may be too long.
True.
They're tucked in, but not, like, folded up.
Because I'm imagining, like true, like, short wings. But they could be really long.
Like, long, big wings. Like a bat's, but, you know.
Yeah, but see, I'm imagining a bat, but they're shorter.
Okay, I'm imagining really long
like
wings.
An angel type wing, long length.
Yes.
I don't know, but it's funny. I can see... Could you see this being made into, like, a TV show? Mm-hmm. It's got subtle humor. They would ruin it.
Oh, 100%. Whoever picked this up would ruin it.
Like, unless it was HBO. Because they did Game of Thrones okay, but I think even then the people who had read the books didn't love it.
Yeah, I think...
The people
you'd have to... Is this series concluded?
No.
No. See, there's a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, there's a lot of books... But still, like, as soon as you start making TV seasons beyond the books that are available, then it's, you know.
I mean, because the people who had said they were going to, this is a little side tangent, they were going to do it on Hulu. I don't think it would be, I mean, as a book lover, the movies or TV shows are never as good as the books. And I think it kind of disappoints the people who've read them because there's never enough details. They miss a lot of things because obviously they just can't.
Yeah.
People would be mad who they casted for certain people.
Yeah.
You know, because like I think I have someone in mind and you have someone, you imagine the characters differently just because that's what reading's kind of like. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, a little side thing, but no, I think her other book series, Throne of Glass, is complete. I think it would be a good like TV series, but I also think they would ruin it as well. So, but okay, so he's adjusting his wings around the human chair, and she goes to take a bite of food, and it's ash in her mouth.
Nasty.
And she's like trying to like not throw up, basically.
Just choke it down.
And don't you think they should have warned her?
Yeah.
Because they should have been like, hey, there's this weird thing, but like your food, human food, is not going to taste good to you. So you're just going to have to grin and bear it, basically. Because her sister, Anesta, in particular, gets offended and is like, what, our food isn't good enough for you? Blah, blah, blah. But then she notes that Cassian and Azriel ate as if they hadn't had a meal in months, which is just so funny.
Yeah. And then I think as Nesta starts like, getting after Cassian because he's like looking at her or something. She's like, what are you looking at? He kind of chastises her, letting her youngest sister risk her life every day in the woods while she did nothing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, not the time or the place. We want them to like help us.
Yeah.
We don't need to like, but I think they're all kind of mad for her, which is kind of sweet to see them stick up for her.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she's ever had anyone really stick up for her.
Yeah.
So.
But, and then Cassian gives Nesta a taunting grin because she has a response. Here's my thought on Cassian. I think he's going to fall for Nesta.
Yeah?
Yes.
Why?
Because she's kind of, I won't say bitchy, but you know, she's got this attitude to her. Mm-hmm. And he kind of seems to like it. And like
yeah,
poking her. And these fellers seem to like the human gals, you know?
Yeah, she's gonna like...
She's gonna
what? She doesn't like them.
She's going to come around.
You think so?
Yeah. She's going to come around. I mean, they're devastatingly beautiful. How could she not?
So that's your prediction. You're shipping them, you might say.
Yes. Whatever the stupid thing you're saying.
I can't believe you've
No,
never
I've never heard that
that.
said. When would I have heard that said?
I don't know. Common pop culture.
I don't listen to that. You know that.
We'll look it up after this. I just can't believe you've never heard that before.
No, I've never heard of
Now I'm
that.
going, is that a thing? Am I just saying the wrong thing over and over again?
I don't know, but I've never heard that.
So who are your potential couples, if there are any? Because this is a romantasy series.
Obviously, Feyre and Rhysand.
You think so?
Cassian and Nesta. I don't know about sweet little Elaine, but maybe Azrael.
But isn't
Maybe
that
Lucian.
Isn't that too
if he
convenient?
comes back around.
Lucian?
Yeah.
What about Tamlin?
Tamlin can go sit in the corner by himself and pout.
Okay. So those are your only potential couples at the moment.
Right now,
What about
yes.
Moore?
Moore can be with Azrael.
What about Amryn?
Amryn can do her own thing. I
Or-
think Amryn's a free spirit who
Okay.
doesn't want that.
So, okay. So those are your predictions.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so basically they're just fighting Cassian and Nesta.
Yes.
And Elaine tries to, like, change the subject.
Yeah. Like, can you fly? Is it frightening to fly so high? So I commented, sweet, innocent Elaine.
Yeah. Well, I think she's, like, she's scared, but, like, her politeness. Maybe she's just curious.
Maybe.
I'd be curious, too. I think it's kind of silly to say, like, can you fly with those things?
Yeah.
But
It's like, no, maybe they're penguin. Maybe they could be like penguins. There are flightless birds, ostriches.
I mean, I guess it's weird in their world.
Yes.
Just as it's weird in this world. But, and they're basically like, Feyre eventually, they're fighting. I mean, they're not even fighting. They're just kind of spitting back and forth at each other a little bit. But Feyre's like, this one, pointing to Rhysand, is only cranky because he's old and it's past his bedtime.
Yeah.
But basically they're like, oh yeah, you can stay, write your letter, and you can use this house, whatever.
Yeah.
So they stay up to write this letter. And it took us until, Feyre says, it took us until midnight before they had a draft we all thought sounded impressive, welcoming, and threatening enough. Why wouldn't they have this letter written already?
Yeah, I'm just seeing your note on that. I didn't mark that when I read this, but I tend to agree.
Like, I know this is kind of like
A little last minute, but
like,
also not.
Feyre agreed, and then they've had all these things back to back to back, and they're like, let's just go. But I don't know. I just am kind of surprised they weren't like, oh, here's the letter.
Yeah.
But maybe they just haven't had time.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Rhysand hasn't had a letter ready.
Just written up.
Yeah, but and it's the trope of like Feyre and Rhysand are in a room together, and then Cassian and Azrael are staying in a room together, and there's one bed. It's the trope of one bed, two people, but nothing happens.
No, he like magics in a new bed or something, doesn't he?
But
We learn that he's paying her a wage. We don't know how much it is.
nope. But she knows it's probably too much.
Yeah.
But they're betting on like
Cassian and
Nesta fighting.
Yeah.
And Feyre notes, part of me shuddered at the havoc those two would wreak if they decided to stop fighting.
Yeah.
So,
See.
but Rhysand says,
They
or I
both
guess
say their money's on
Nesta winning, basically.
Yeah.
So,
And he Rhysand agrees.
yeah.
So.
Chapter 25. I think this is a weird chapter because you are like, where are they? It's not like that we're like, oh, we woke up and decided to go practice. Right?
They've just randomly gone out into the woods. He's showing her a map that actually has details of the Night Court on it. And then he's telling her to like train on something, and then doesn't he like go away, or is he just standing there because she's like trying to focus on something?
He's standing there, and then she goes, "You should go away.
Yeah.
Go far. I can feel you from a room away.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to one of those pocket realms that you talk about?" And he's like, "There's no air in there." And so I think he just goes away.
Yeah.
I think she's trying to light a fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right.
And
he starts sending her little notes.
yes, but they're still in the human world.
Yes.
It's kind of confusing the way it's written.
They've just gone out into the woods.
Yes. But they're basically just like a little flirting back and forth in their little parchment, which I'm like, why are y'all writing it down instead of just saying it mind to mind? Because they can say mind to mind. But all of a sudden, someone's behind her and yanks her up, and it's the adder.
Of course.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum. He's in the human realm too. It's then chapter 26. She's like fighting with the adder a little bit, but then you noted night exploded around us. And then once the light returns, there's Rhysand. And the adder is bound to a snow-shrouded oak with twisting bands of night.
Yeah, what do you think that is? Twisting bands of night.
Well, I'm imagining right now something similar to Xaden's shadow powers.
Yeah.
In the Fourth Wing series.
So, like, Azrael has shadows. And Rhysand also has shadows. Which kind of seems weird to me that both characters would have shadows.
Well, he's High Lord of the Night Court, so
I guess so.
that makes sense. But we learn the adder has been sent by the King of Highburn. He's not to question. The king wants her. And then Azrael comes up and stalks him. And
yeah, he begins trembling, which I think speaks to Azrael's reputation.
Yes. And then...
We learn that Rhysand knew that he was hunting her. Basically, he's like, I wanted to see who wanted to snatch you as soon as you were alone, basically. So it was kind of a trap.
Yeah.
And so they fight, right? Aren't they kind of arguing?
Arguing, and then she winnows in front of him, tackled him into the snow.
And he's excited about it.
Yes.
Yeah. A grin of wicked delight.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the chapter.
And Azrael has taken the adder somewhere else.
Yeah. And 27 opens with...
She's on top of him in the snow. And she's like pushing his shoulders into the ground.
With talons.
Yeah. Talons curving at her fingertips. Basically saying, don't use me as bait again. Blah, blah, blah. They argue a little bit. And then he says, let's go home. And she says, Valaris isn't my home. And which is kind of fair. It isn't yet. And that's about it. And then they go back to their family's house.
Yeah, and I think this is when... Oh, well, no. I guess it's a really short chapter. Because I think that's all that happens. Yeah. 28 is when... I think they go and deliver the letter in town. They have breakfast,
deliver the letter, and then...
They leave. They're saying goodbye. And I think Well, no, because she said Cassian left. I don't know. I guess Cassian gives Nesta a mocking bow, and she gives him a vulgar gesture back. So, you think those two are really going to be together?
Yeah. Duh.
Why they're
she's
giving him the finger.
Exactly. Duh. I could see it coming a mile away.
Okay. Whatever. But they're back, and I think Rhysand's like, it's up to you how much you want to know about what we do here, and like our methods, and like what we did to the adder wasn't pretty, and she's like, I want to know everything, take me there.
Yeah.
So they go, I thought they were going to go, but they go in his mind.
Yeah.
Which is a very convenient
plot device.
Yes. Because he's in Hewn. Hewn City, the Court of Nightmares.
In the Court of Nightmares.
So, and it took Azrael less than an hour to break him, which I think sounds pretty impressive.
Big bad adder ain't so big and bad. But Reese is just in his mind, in this memory thing. He's like leaning against the wall. The adder's chained to a chair. And then Azrael had learned that a small enemy force had infiltrated the north 2 days ago. But they wanted Feyre, possibly for their own experimenting. Tamlin had shut down his borders so tightly that even flying overhead at night was impossible. And any ears and eyes Azrael had once possessed in the court had gone deaf and blind. No sign of Jurian in the or the cauldron, and everything the adder had confessed was true.
But this is probably later on in the chapter, but they let him go.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
Yes.
But.
Possibly because killing him would be.
Like war?
Yeah. Perhaps.
Yeah.
But anyway, they torture him, get the information they need. They see that there's no whisper of the book on their minds. And then, yeah.
And she decides to write a letter to Tamlin to basically say, like, calm down, basically.
Yes, I left of my own free will. I was not taken. I'm cared for. I'm grateful for all that you did for me. But please don't come looking for me. I'm not coming back.
Yeah. Do you think that will work?
No. I mean, probably not.
Like, do you think we'll see Tamlin again in this book, or?
I think at some point.
Yeah.
If not this book, then certainly one of the next ones.
He's not gone for good.
No. And then they're talking about visiting the other courts, and High Lords visiting other courts makes everyone jumpy.
Yep.
We'll deal with the book then. But then Rhysand says, or if you'll allow a Lord of Night to take you out on town.
Yeah. And I guess they're getting ready to go out, right? And Amren comes up and her little two friends.
Nuala and Saradwin.
Yes, I should know those names, but I can't remember them. But they disappear because they don't like her.
They're scared of her.
But they're wraiths. Is that how they pronounce it in the audiobook?
Yes.
And
says they're nothing but shadow and mist.
Yeah.
So basically, I was right that they're like ghosts.
Yeah.
So that's always what I pictured. They're little like.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're half high fae.
Yeah.
But they can walk through walls, stone, whatever. Yeah. So, and they're Azrael's spies.
Yeah. Doesn't Amren also make a comment about them being half high fae and like how in the heck did that work?
Yeah, I think so.
If they're shadow and mist, how did that work?
Yeah, she thinks they're down there whispering in Azrael's ear that she's up here with Feyre. And Feyre's like, I thought they answered to Rhys, and she's like, no, they answered to both, but they were trained by Azrael first. So, but she's basically like, Rhys has told him, like, not to worry, but Azrael never truly trusts me fully. So, and she's kind of like, it's probably smart of him to not, you know, to keep tabs on everyone, essentially. But we learned that the Court of Dreams is founded on 3 things: to defend, to honor, and to cherish. So,
yeah.
Many of Rhysand's top officials have little to no power. He values loyalty, cunning, compassion. So, and she's like, what about the tithe?
Yeah.
And she's like, tithe?
And there's no tithe.
Yeah.
There's taxes on city dwellers, but no tithe.
And she gives her back her
amulet.
And she's surprised she gives it back.
Kind of like shrugs and hands it back to her.
Yeah.
Says, I found it at the bottom of my jewelry box. And it's just like, I tricked you. Which, this made me think of the movie, the classic Mel Brooks film, Spaceballs, with the ring that he gives to Lone Star. And Lone Star, at some point, loses the ring. And he said, then it's his little image of yogurt, and he says, I think I found that thing in a Cracker Jack box. It's bubkus, it's nothing, it's nonsense. that's what I thought of.
I didn't get this reference.
You have seen that film.
I have, but I don't remember it. I know it's one of your favorites, but
It's a classic.
if anyone listening has seen Spaceballs, which I think is probably not very many of you,
It's a classic. Go watch it. Highly recommend.
comment. Let us know if you've seen it, because I did not get this quote, but I'm glad that you are getting enjoyment out of it.
Yes.
In this whole interaction after it, she's like, but Rhysand kept looking at it, and she's like, because he gave it to me 200 years ago, he was probably surprised to see it again and wondered why I'd given it to you, likely worried why I might have given it to you. So, and that's the end of that chapter.
Yep.
29. They're going out for a night on the town.
Yep.
And I don't know if you highlighted the same thing for the same thing that I'm about to say, but they're just chit-chatting amongst each other. And I think Feyre is falling. She's like walking behind them listening. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about people, blah, blah, blah. And matches and teams for sports I'd never heard of. So they do have sports teams.
Yeah.
I wonder, like,
what
kind
their
of
sports are.
Yeah. Do you think it's like our...
Quidditch.
Well, do you think it's our sports?
Well, she's...
Like,
I
is
don't
it
know.
like soccer, but Feyre's just never heard of that because they don't
Maybe.
do that in the mortal world?
Perhaps.
I'm so curious. I don't want to play-by-play on how the sports work. I
No,
do not
obviously
care.
they need to go play a game of sports ball, of Fey ball.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's
I thought this was a
random
very
thing.
modern thing, kind of. But
Yeah.
apparently Amren is a vicious, obsessive supporter of one of the teams. So...
Oh, there was another comment she had after some, I don't remember exactly the feeling she had, but she was talking about, but after painting from morning until night, once that was all I had wanted for myself. In case you forgot that she paints, or used to paint.
She's starting to like be like, oh, maybe I could do that
I guess
again.
that's true.
It's kind of coming back to her. She's finding herself again.
Sure.
But they're out to eat, basically.
They're at dinner, yes.
Yeah, because they've eaten, or they're about to eat, or they're eating, and they come out with, the owner comes out with a metal goblet full of dark liquid before Amren,
Yes.
which,
It's fresh and hot.
and we needed the beast for tomorrow's roast, and she notes you spiced it nicely. So did she spice the blood?
It's like mulled wine, but it's mulled blood. You know, like a spiced wine.
Well, she seems so shocked and excited, and then I'm like, why don't her friends do this for her when they have big dinners? Couldn't they drain the blood of whatever they were eating the next day?
I don't know.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on her drinking blood?
It's weird.
Well, you said you had a
Well,
prediction.
they're not wrong. I think was she some sort of bat creature? Was she some sort of mosquito creature?
Mosquito creature?
Yes. Was she some other weird blood sucking creature that can apparently destroy the world or something? Did something very
A mosquito?
well? That's why I've changed that.
Oh, because you read
yes.
you remembered that part.
Yes, who was sent to the prison many
I mean,
years
a
ago.
vampire drinks blood?
True. But vampires are already immortal, aren't they? Other than the wooden stake through the heart. Anyway, she's something weird, and I don't know what it is.
Is it bothering you?
I mean, kind of, but I don't... It's probably one of those things where, like, it's something made up for the book, so I have no idea of what even to guess. Like, surely it's not, oh, she's a vampire, right? Oh, she's a werewolf. That would be too stupid. That would be too easy.
Why?
It's got to be some weird nonsense for this book.
Okay.
When you got this crap like the Weaver and the Bone Carver, a vampire just doesn't hit it.
True.
Like,
yeah, because they've really talked it up, haven't they?
Like, oh, she's some crazy shit.
What if you never find out what she is?
I'm gonna send Sarah J. Maas a strongly worded email.
Okay.
How dare we? Whatever it is.
I mean, the series isn't complete. I might not know what she is.
Here's my thoughts on what Amren should be.
Not a vampire.
Not a vampire.
What if she is a vampire? You're going to eat your words later on, aren't you?
I'm going to throw a fit. I am going to unleash, again, this world, what she would unleash on that world. Because he's just so... No, it's just... He's too easy.
It is.
Too many books about vampires.
I get what you're saying. Like, you want something creative.
Yes. That's played out. That's done.
Yes.
Twilight happened. Had some movies. It's done.
Okay. Okay. So they're basically eating. Amren is drinking.
Yeah.
More
wants to go dancing.
Yes. And Feyre's like, I don't want to go, basically. But I think this quote is, I don't know if it's for Rhysand or for Cassian. I should have noted. But she's like, will you deign to join us, or do you have plans to oogle your muscles in the mirror? Might be for Cassian.
Yeah.
But Rhysand and Feyre walk back with, and then Cassian, Azriel, and Mor go dancing. And Amren goes to see if there's more blood from the shop owner. So, and she does ask, like, why blood? And he's like, I don't know, it doesn't seem polite to ask. Which I get, but then also, like, she's been your friends for
hundreds of years.
Like, wouldn't that come up in common conversation? But I guess she's very secretive.
True. Rhysand does note that at one point he, many years ago, had invited her to his bed. And she just laughed at him, basically. And the jewelry is because he enjoys buying it for a friend who works hard for her. So, and staying in her good graces is an added bonus.
Yeah.
So, they talk about, this is talking about Valaris, right? An ancient High Lord had a different vision. And rather than allowing the world to see his territory vulnerable at a time of change, he sealed the borders and staged a coup, eliminating the worst of the predators, building Valaris for the dreamers, establishing trade and peace. Mm-hmm. So basically someone long ago, well before him, well before his father even, built it and sealed it off.
Yeah, and kept it a secret.
Yeah.
And so did his offspring, and so did their offspring, and so on.
Mm-hmm. So, rumor has it that the ancient High Lord cast his very life's blood upon the stone, the river, to keep that spell eternal.
Yeah, so...
And then she hears some music.
Which is the music she heard. In
the dungeon.
Yes. That kind of brought her out of her...
Yeah, that she thought was from old Tam Tam.
Did she?
I thought so. At least, I'll say, I thought it was from Tam.
Oh, you thought he was sending that to
I
her.
thought he was sending it, right? Because at that point in the book, you're still like, oh, Tam.
Well, I thought it was music that was just, like...
There? Going on?
Like in the mountain. Mm-hmm. 'Cause she even notes, like, yeah, you're right, it didn't fit the music that normally happened under the mountain. So that's why I just assumed it was, like, music, and she just happened to like it when I read it the first time. But we learned that he
sent the music.
Basically of Valaris to her.
Yes. Yeah. Because he wanted to save her.
Mm-hmm. And they get back, and they basically are just like... They're
sexting through little notes.
Yeah, the paper notes again.
Yes.
But, yes, I guess
they talk about licking him.
Okay.
And then that he needs his beauty rest, so be quiet when you dream about me. That's the end of the chapter.
Yes.
Chapter 30, then.
She is training with Cassian.
Yes. You have a note.
We don't have to say it.
Yeah. But she basically says, I might have been good at hunting, at archery. Well, her name is Archer On, so makes sense. But she's uncoordinated. Can't use her left side, apparently.
Yeah.
So she's comments she's like a baby deer trying to walk. Someone got a secondhand report from Rhys that Azriel had found some sort of barrier around the Queen's palace. Mm-hmm. So he has to do some more assessing.
I think that's Azriel.
Yeah.
And I think she's admiring their tattoos.
Because they're all covered in them, too.
Because she also has the tattoos that she got on her arm.
Are the same as what they have.
Illyrian tattoos.
Yeah. And he talks about they get them when they're initiated as Illyrian warriors for luck and glory on the battlefield.
Yeah. And this is another moment of she's a painter.
Yes, death on swift wings. I saw the painting I'd create.
Terrifying.
She hasn't painted in how long?
Well, this is because she was sad and
I guess
depressed.
so.
This is her becoming herself again.
I guess so. Fine, I'm being too mean. Poor old Feyre. And then she starts getting like mad about something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about Amarantha, and she's punching again and again. And then she feels her fists connect with bare skin. Mm-hmm. She had punched through the and she had burned through the sparring pads that Cassian was holding up for her.
And he was just like, keep going if you need to. I can handle it.
Yeah. So.
But then Rhysand comes over to comfort her, basically.
Yes.
And Cassian and Azriel start sparring off behind them. But basically, she's kind of having this, like, this moment, I guess. And he's like, I know, because I felt that way every day since my mother and sister were slaughtered and I had to bury them myself. So, I guess because she is still living with the fact that she killed 2 innocent fairies, including, and Claire better. Yeah. So, he's like, you can just kind of learn to
live with it.
Yeah. And he has 2 kinds of nightmares. One where he's stuck with Amarantha again, or the one where he hears her neck snap and see the light leaves her eyes. So.
And then I'm talking about the fire. It's a gift from the Autumn Court's High Lord, Baron, Lucian's father. So we learned his High Lord, Lucian's dad's name, Baron. I just noted that.
And
she comments on, I think it's Rhysand. I'm surprised there aren't more mirrors in this house, since you seem to love looking at yourself so much.
Yeah, and I think he tries to get her to call the night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she does it or he does it, but, like, there's little stars. Like, she opens her eyes and there's dark out.
Yeah.
And there's little stars.
And she starts,
everywhere.
like, rolling it on her fingers.
Yeah. Shifted the star between my fingers like a coin on the hand of a magician. So there's magicians?
True. Why do they need magicians to do little, coin tricks?
Well, in the human world, they don't have magic.
I guess that's true.
She's the one who knows
I'll retract that then.
But, like, are they magicians or are they people with magic?
Oh, they could be actual, like, magicians, not illusionists.
Yeah. Like, they could actually have magic.
They could. Well, if you have actual magic, you should do something cooler with it than just roll a coin on your fingers.
Yeah, but, like, that might just be, like, the thing, like, one of the acts.
I guess so. Anyway, that's the end of the chapter, basically.
Kind of like her trying to fight her way through her emotions, basically.
Yeah.
So, 31. They're still training, basically. Back
it's
to
4
training.
days later.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's 4 days later. They're training again. And Amren's hanging out there, cleaning her nails with a tiny bone.
I'm imagining her laying on, like...
well, they say it's like a chaise.
Yeah, like a pool, like one of the pool loungers. That's what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
A plastic pool lounger.
I'm sure it's not made of plastic, but that's funny.
Cleaning her nails. Yeah, with a tiny bone.
Yeah.
That's weird, right?
Yeah. She makes a comment about, I'll remove your favorite part, small as it might be, to Cassian, I think.
Yeah. They go out drinking.
Oh, yeah. Females and males watched Rhysand throughout the hall. And the Shadow Singer and I made a game of betting on who exactly would work up the nerve to invite the High Lord home.
She's kind of jealous.
Yeah.
And Moore basically lives at Rita's.
Yeah, the dance hall is called Rita's.
Yeah. I guess this is what she's remembering they've been doing.
Yeah.
But, and then they're, because Cassian, like, tells Amren to get off her butt and give him 20 lunges. And
she just growls at him, snarls at him, basically.
Yeah. But it's cut off, I think, because Rhysand shows up. And Amren's like, you came basically just in time before I did cut off something very important.
Yeah.
But the summer court, he had heard back from the summer court, and they invited
them.
Mm-hmm. And Feyre, Amren, and Rhysand are going.
Yeah.
And Cassian's like, what? I want to go. And he's like, Cassian, considering the fact that last time you visited, it didn't end well. And he's like, I wrecked one building.
Just wrecked one building.
And they're terrified of Amren.
Sweet Amren.
Yeah, sweet Amren. She's the wiser choice.
And they also know that there's a great deal of treasure to be found in the summer court. So they basically just... Amren you can just steal from them. You can take their treasure.
Yeah, I think because they want her to go, and she doesn't want to.
Trying to entice her with stealing.
With the little, like, what did they call her when she's like hoarding all her sparkly things?
I don't remember.
They call her something, but yeah. And then Feyre's there to
find the book, obviously.
But they're kind of like, is it the right thing to do to bring her? Because, like, while she is here, you are basically introducing her
as now part of the night court.
Yeah, instead of and but they are going, and I think they go to bed.
Yeah,
but they're still talking.
Yes,
Feyre and
Rhysand.
Yeah, and I think she's still a little bitter about her being used as bait.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
But that's the end of the chapter section. Well, the chapter and the chapter sections that we're reading. So they're off to the summer court. Yep. What could go wrong?
Surely nothing.
Yeah. So, do you have any predictions? Now, I know you do know some things. This next section that we're reading, audience, is what you have read, but then it starts portions of the new stuff that you haven't read. So we're almost out of the stuff that you don't know. So do you have any predictions that aren't spoilers that you already know? I don't know how much you remember.
I mean, it was like 2 years ago that I read this, so I don't remember a lot.
But, like, do you have any predictions for the book? This book and or the rest of the series?
Some general ones. They're going to have to fight the king. Going to have to defeat him.
Okay.
I do think old Tamlin is going to come back around at some point. Mm-hmm. Perhaps there might even be a thing where they're going to have to go around and court the High Lords of the other courts to fight the king, right? Because a unified Prythian is going to be stronger than a splintered one. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's one that maybe is slightly... I know Rhysand trusts Amren. I don't.
You don't trust her?
No, she seems sketchy. She seems weird. I don't
so you think there's going to be a betrayal?
I think there could be something with her. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's going to be something with her because she's weird and mysterious and creepy. That's what I got right now.
That's it.
Yeah, I think somehow Cassian's going to hook up with Nesta, and maybe not in this book, but maybe later on.
Okay.
So
what happens at the end of this book? They're obviously going to the summer court. Do you have any predictions for the end of this book? Because remember, the last 100 pages of any SJM book
is where everything happens. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if they're going to have the big battle with the king in this book. Mm-hmm. I don't know, though. Could be wrong. Or to end on a cliffhanger where it's a little bit, oh no, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
How are they ever going to survive? So, I don't really know.
You don't. I mean, I don't think there's any foreshadowing for the end of the book yet. So
Yeah.
I don't think, other than you might just have a inkling.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just...
No. Nothing.
Okay. Do you think Feyre's going to stay?
In Night Court?
Yeah.
For a little while, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to flip between all of them. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be too stupid. Like, oh, this book she's in the Spring Court. This book she's in the Night Court. This book she's in the blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think she's going to do that.
So you think she's there for a while?
For a little while.
Okay. Any other predictions?
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
The next chapter section, it ends, like I've divided it with, so you'll have some questions. So
Okay.
I'm excited.
Good.
This is my favorite book of the series, so I'm excited for you to keep reading, basically. So, yeah, you got anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay, so next week we read chapters 32 through 51, and then the next week, just so y'all have a reference, is 52 through the end. So 4 episodes for this book. So we're close. I think we're basically halfway through the book.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you follow us on Instagram. Go leave us a review. Go watch us, follow us, subscribe on YouTube.
Hit the notification bell.
Yeah, all the things. But
Yep.
I think that's it for us.
Yep.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Adios.